Well, he did it. After days on the road, hundreds of miles, sore legs, long climbs, and everything else that came with this journey, the ride is officially complete. When we started this podcast, the moment felt very, very long way away. But now we're here. So today we're going to be looking back on the experience, what the ride was like for Stuart, the toughest moments, best moments, what surprised him most, and how he now feels that it's finally over. And if he's going to do anything like this again in the future. Dad, congratulations.
Thank you.
How does it feel?
It feels a bit weird. It's something that I've been thinking about for a long time, planning for a while. Um, I think, everybody goes through this. I guess it's a bit like a ground rush on a parachute jump. Everything seems like a long way away, and then suddenly, whack, it's there, and and you've got to start. And then when you're in it, the days are quite long, but then suddenly it's over and it's in the rearview mirror, and you think, "Oh, crikey, what was that all about?" But it's done.
Yeah, you say it is in the rearview mirror. What, it's you finished 4 or 5 days ago?
So today's Friday. Finished. So I did the last big ride was Sunday to get to as close to Cape Wrath as possible. Then I couldn't cycle over Sunday evening because the tide was out. The ferry wasn't running, so stayed in Durness, which is a mile and a half or so down the road from where the ferry goes, and then did the final bit on Monday.
Yeah, yeah. What? So it is 4 days, kind of since that last stretch to Cape Wrath. 5 days since the last big ride.
Yep.
What was the very first emotion when you crossed the finish line?
I didn't really thought about. Well, I didn't really cross the finish line in that. You the ride. So there's a bit of background to that really, which is on the Sunday riding from just north of Inverness up to Durness. I The route sent me on a little bit of a gravel track that I wasn't very happy about. It was wet, and I had my only bit of hiker bike at the end of that gravel track. I didn't take a picture of it because I was a bit focused on it was wet and it wasn't very nice, and I was a bit focused on getting the ride done. But I rode through this gravel track, and then I had to cross a river, and the track ended with a series of metal steps down to a foot a bridge that went next to the main bridge, and then some more steps down. So I had to carry the bike down the steps, rode on the little path across the metal grating across the river, and then walked down the steps the other side to rejoin the road. And it went through my mind that bit of gravel was a bit rough. I hope that hasn't caused me a problem. And then it was on and off rain, and I got to a place called Leg and met Mum and had a coffee and something to eat, sandwich. And then the next bit was on an A road, which is a single track road with passing places, which is the sort of a diagonal route across the Northern Highlands. And the Garmin said 30 miles until till the next right turn, and it was into a headwind. It was raining. I've sent you some video and a couple of photos, and the weather brightened up as I was cycling up, but it was part of the course. It was a bit of a headwind, and it seemed to take forever riding up there. And I felt my rear wheel tire going down a little bit. I thought that's softer than it should be, and I plugged on because until it got bad, I wasn't going to try and fix it, and I was hoping the sealant would in the tubeless tire would hold. So the next day, I put some air in the tire that evening. The next day, I got up to ride down to the ferry, and the tire had definitely lost pressure. And I could see there was a cut. I pumped it up, and I could see there was a cut, and I could see the air coming out and the sealant bubbling. So I span the wheel, hoping that the sealant would do its job and hold. And I had to get off to get to the ferry, so I didn't have time to faff around. And it seemed to have held, so I got on the ferry, went across, and it's a very rough track. It's like mountain bike track, not and I knew it was going to be rough. I didn't realize it was going to be quite as rough as it was. It's undulated, a few, reasonable hit going up. Going up was much better than going down because it was pretty rough going down on those road tires rather than, it would have been great if I'd had my gravel tires on. And I got to the lighthouse. It took about just over, I think, about an hour and 20 minutes to get to the lighthouse. So it's pretty slow because the track was so bumpy. And that whole time I was worried about my tyre going down. And I got to the lighthouse, started to film the video, took a couple of takes, and I just said, and it seems like my tyres held, and my bike was propped up against a wall, and I heard, psh. So I was like,
No.
so I span the wheel again to try and get sealant to, work, and it wasn't very happy. I could hear little bits of air escaping. I was like, oh, gee. So actually, but you asked me how it felt when I crossed the finish line. I was then thinking I've got 11 miles to get back to the ferry, and I don't want to walk. And I had a plug, I had the sealant, I had an inner tube if I needed it. But at that stage of the game, I didn't want to have to do too much. So I tried to get a plug in and didn't really work very well, mainly because of me, to be perfectly honest. I thought about putting an inner tube in, and I didn't fancy faffing around with tyre levers to get it all in unless I really, really, really had to. So I let the minibus go off taking people back, because that's the only way of getting to the Cape is either walk, cycle, or minibus. And the minibus, it's a single track road, and I didn't want to be in front of the minibus and holding a minibus up and having to pull over. So I let the minibus go in front of me. So yeah, the 11 miles back, I went quite a lot faster, about 10 minutes faster going back, just because I was wanted to get back with my tyre in one piece and enough air in that I wasn't dinging the rim. And it was touch and go. I just about made it. So I guess my finish line was when I got back off the ferry at Durness and saw Mum and thought, okay, I've finished. I was a bit emotional at the lighthouse, thinking about Mum and Erica and why I did the ride. That took a couple of takes actually, because I was at that point I had a bit of quiet reflection. So I made it to Cape Ross Lighthouse. It's a beautiful day. It's a bumpy track to get here. Softening rear tyre that held, thankfully. Anyway, I did this ride in memory of Erica, my mother-in-law, and my mum. Thank you very much, everyone who sponsored me. It means a lot. And if you haven't sponsored me yet and you feel like it, then there'll be a link attached to this video. 11 miles now back to the ferry, and the adventure will be over.
Yeah. You say you had that issue with the tyre. That was the only mechanical you had?
No, but it was so I had a problem with I was concerned about riding with techie, sorry. I got a dropper post on my gravel bike because of riding in Switzerland. And steep tracks and stuff, and I think it's a sensible option. I was a bit concerned about putting my saddle bag on the dropper post, and in Pitlochry the top part of the dropper post had come unscrewed, and basically the saddle and the top part of the dropper post came away in my hand when I lifted my bike up. And that was a bit of a panic. I managed to get it screwed back down again, but that was a little bit of a panicky moment. Today is bike servicing day, so I'll see how the bike really is. I left the bike in the garage for a couple of days, and I need to sort my bike out, change my tyres back to my gravel tyres, fix see if I can fix the slit in the rear tyre and of the road tyres. So yeah. No, so I was very lucky. Those were the only real two mechanicals. I was sensible. I reasonably looked after the bike before I left, so it was as maintained as I could make it before I left. So yeah.
And how many times did you have to charge your battery for your gears?
Once I've got to do. I'm not prepared for the podcast, so I'll do the stats. So I know how far I went. I haven't yet totted up.
Got it written down.
Oh, okay. So I know how far I went, and obviously, if I go into the SRAM app, I can see the number of gear changes I did. And I think I was doing, 1,000, 1,200 gear changes a day. So I'll put I've got to do a LinkedIn post to kind of wrap some of it up. So I'll put number of hours, total number of miles, which I already know, number of calories burnt, number of elevation gain, and I'll add all of that up and put it into the post when I get around to doing the post.
So I've gone off Strava for the data that I have. I've done it in kilometers because that's how I'm measuring stuff out here. How many miles have you done?
So it's 830.4, I think.
Okay, I've from Strava I've got 830.8.
Okay, I'll go with that.
And
I need to write these down actually.
I've got it as 1,337.1 kilometers.
That sounds about
over
right.
8 full days, 9, including that little last
Yeah.
bit to Cape Bath. And I looked on the Just Giving as we started recording, and it's at £5,183.
Yeah, I've got another couple of £100 coming in apparently.
Well done.
Thank you.
You've done very well.
You didn't add up the amount of time taken, did you?
No, I didn't.
I'll do that. As I say, I've got to put out a LinkedIn post with some of that stuff on it.
I know that there was one thing you said in the last podcast, which was, I think one of the days you said it was your slowest ride ever.
On the road, yeah.
Yeah, and I did look back through Strava, and there isn't a way to find, or there isn't an easy way to find on Strava what your slowest ride ever is, but going through like your most elevation rides and stuff, it was slower than those, so I presume it is.
Yeah.
Your slowest ride ever on
the
road.
That was the day I went through the Trough of Bowland and went from just outside Clitheroe, just north of Clitheroe, Sawley to Penrith, and that was 18% climbs and lots of headwind. That was a tough day.
Yeah, I can only imagine. Do you think that was the hardest day?
By training stress score, no. So TSS is a measurement of duration and power output against your functional threshold. So it's a very good way of measuring how hard a ride is. And no, that wasn't my hardest day by TSS, but it felt really hard. And I think it feels really hard because I need to go back and look at the amount of time spent in my easiest gear. Because I think that was a day. I mean, the hills were just steep, and I'm not a bit. I think I've said on the previous episode, I'm not a big fan of that Garmin climber function because you can be going up a hill and Garmin hasn't recognised it as a hill for whatever reason, so it doesn't come up. And when it's counting down how far you got to go, it's I don't really appreciate this on a long ride. But when you see 18% and then it goes down to 12%, 12% feels like a rest, it's a steep hill. And there were multiple ones of those on that day. And that was hard. Because at that point, you just got to keep pushing to keep the bike moving forward, however slowly. And I didn't walk up any hill.
Yeah.
So there was no hill that was too steep to cycle up, but that day was steep. There was a bunch of steep hills.
Do you think you had the right gearing on the bike, or do you think you would have appreciated having a slightly bigger gear for the
No, I think it was all fine actually. It worked really well.
Nice.
So no, the easiest gear was easy enough.
Yeah. What have you learned about yourself from doing this ride?
Nothing new really. I know that's sorry for no insight. I knew that if I put my mind to it and just was bloody, I know I'm bloody minded. I know I can be, focused is a polite way of putting it. I know if I stayed focused that I just had enough resilience to do it. So yeah, it's nice to be able to prove it, back that up. But no, and it's nice confirmation, athletically that I'm not past it. I say I didn't do it particularly quickly. I'd like to blame the headwinds a little bit for that. Um, I, the day when I didn't have too much wind, too much of a headwind, and the day when I went, I was averaging nearly 15 miles an hour, and I think that's probably more representative of what I could have done if I wasn't pushing against a headwind most of the way. But hey, who cares about the speed? Only me.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah.
I remember a couple of days ago, me and Malvina were sat here. We've had the news on, and the weather forecast came up for the UK this week, and we both sat there and went, "Oh no, we would have had a tailwind and warm weather this week."
Hey, it's what it is.
It is what it is. Yeah, you
Yeah.
did it and you completed it, and that's the main thing. Is there anything you would do differently if you were going to do it again?
I definitely. I would have spent a bit more time on the route planning, I think now, because like that day through the Trough of Bowland, it was beautiful. It was on quiet roads, and if you weren't doing what I was doing, it would have been a great day out on the bike. Apart from the headwind, it would have been very scenic. Um, you know, but there's definitely a flatter. It might have been slightly longer, but there's definitely a flatter way of getting around that bit of geography.
Do you, because you use Commute to plan it? Commute, sorry.
Commute.
Yeah, Commute. Um, do you think, did you only use Commute or did you use anything else?
No, just use Commute.
Because inspired by you, I started to look at a long ride that I could do, and I've used Strava to plan it
Yep.
more. And on Strava, there are drop downs that you can change, so you can say like, I prefer paved surfaces over gravel. I prefer less elevation to more. Do you think if you did it again, you would try and use both, or like find
No,
another
you can do
route
all of that
planner
on
just
Commute as
to?
well. I think I just should have paid more attention to it really. That's the bottom line. But it was good in that it did a good job of keeping away from traffic. So Mum was driving from point to point, and she wasn't on the same roads that I was on. And when I went round, places like Milton Keynes and stuff, it is a pain. The first day going across London, it's a pain being on bike paths because it ruins your rhythm. You have to, they're not very well planned. Sometimes they're not very well maintained. Although in Milton Keynes they are well maintained, but forever slowing down because you don't have right of way at junctions and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, I get it. The app did a great job. Milton Keynes with a whole bunch of roundabouts, or coming through the outskirts of London. I wouldn't want to be cycling on the A2 which is the main road through. That's a road that I've kind of followed direction, but I wouldn't want to be cycling on that when it's a dual carriageway and you've got lorries and everything thundering along it. It would be a lot faster probably, but I wouldn't want to be cycling on it. So the route did a good job at that. But I think I should have, if I'd had more time. No, I had enough time. I didn't make enough time to look at the route. I just accepted the route for what it was. The other thing I learned was, so I got a Garmin 830, which is a touch screen, and I was an idiot. I'd forgotten how to lock the screen. So the first couple of times when it rained, the screen started faffing around, and I, was missing some of the route stuff, and because the screen was changing, and yeah, once I learned how to reminded myself to lock the screen, that was great then, because then I could just have the route up and follow the
Yeah,
route.
yeah. Um, Now that you're back home,
Hmm.
first of all, how did you get home?
Drove.
Yes. Would you like to explain that you were rather silly about driving?
Well, silly. I finished about what 1 o'clock, whatever time it was, and Mum had driven all the way up there over 8 days, so I volunteered to drive back, and I drove back from Cape Ross to home in one go. Well, we stopped a few times, but yeah, 12 and a half hours of driving.
Yeah.
Got back at 3 o'clock in the morning.
How many Red Bulls?
None.
How many coffees?
One.
Only one coffee.
One coffee.
How many gels?
None.
How many Haribos?
None.
Really?
Yeah.
You survived the whole way with nothing.
Well, we stopped and I had sandwich and well, actually, we stopped in Larg on the way back, which is you have this long. I think I mentioned it. You have this long 30-mile road which going north takes you diagonally across to join the North Coast 500, and it gets very remote. Even no sheep. A few houses, no sheep. Beautiful scenery, pretty rugged. Single track A road, but in Larg we found a nice restaurant come coffee stop on the way up, and we stopped there on the way back. And driving back down the valley, we saw two beautiful red deer does, fully grown red deer does that crossed the road just in front of us, and they stood by the side of the road as we drove past looking at us. And we got back to that restaurant and there was haunch of venison on the menu, so I had deer after seeing deer for lunch. And then we stopped just north of the Forth Road Bridge and got a couple of bits to eat, and then stopped again at T Bay Services, which is up near the Lake District. So I stopped a few times, got a few bits and pieces to eat, but I didn't eat. I ate some junk, but not complete junk.
You say about seeing the deer and then venison on the menu. It reminds me a lot.
Sorry, Malvina, who's a
my
vegetarian.
my first season teaching out here, we had one of the restaurants always used to do burger night on a Sunday. One of the bars did pizza nights, where every pizza was 16 francs. The other one did burger night, and it was a different meat every week. And it was just before Christmas, and we all went there as instructors, and the waiter came over and he was like, "You're all ski instructors, aren't you?" We were like, "Yeah." He was like, "Oh, well, tonight's reindeer burger. So when all the kids don't get their Christmas presents, you can tell them that it's because you ate Rudolph."
Yeah, very good.
But now that you've finished,
Mm-hmm.
what comes next?
Real world. So I gave up my job at Sugar to, part of the reason for giving up the job at Sugar, there were other reasons, but part of the reason was to, be able to do the ride. So I said that when I finished the ride, I'd get back into work. So yeah, I'm writing up my journal on Substack day by day, just to, even if nobody ever reads it, more for me actually to, put down memories of stuff of the ride. Hopefully you're working with some of the photos and a few of the videos I took along the way to put together a little bit of a, video memory of it. And yeah, start looking for a job.
Yeah. Does it feel strange not having it in front of you anymore? Because it's been that big moment or that big thing since January.
Yeah, it was the objective. Does it feel strange? No, not really, to be honest, because I think I was reasonably sensible about, knowing what was going to happen next. It's not exactly a surprise. So I'm really pleased that I got it done. I'm glad I did it. I did it, the mission was accomplished in about the time that I expected. It went reasonably well. I enjoyed it. We raised, I didn't know what target to put down for Just Giving, so I put 5,000 down, and we raised 5,000, which makes me think maybe I should have put 10,000 down and see if I could have got to that. But anyway, you never know, do you? So yeah, that I think I'm where I expected to be. So now I need to. I'm not wealthy enough or old enough to give up work. I want the intellectual stimulus of working. So get back on the horse and find a job.
Do you think that if the next time you'll do a longer ride like this,
Mm.
because you've now done, or this one's completed, you've got to finish off Waterdash to Grindelwald,
Yeah.
and you didn't finish the whole round of Britain. Do you think that that's sort of where I'm going with this? That's 3 road rides. Do you think the next one will be either like a gravel or more gravel orientated, or like a mountain bike orientated one if you want to do another one?
Yeah, I don't know actually. I mean, you and I spoke about the plan you're potentially coming up with to ride from Grindelwald to where Malvina comes from in Poland. If you want me along for the ride, I'll see if I can get fit enough to do that. There are a whole bunch of things that you know, kicking around thinking about doing. I'd like to do coast to coast in the UK, which is up from across the Lake District, from the Lake District across. It's about 150 miles. Like to do that in a day. Bunch of people who I know have done that in a day. It's doable. I've probably got the miles in my legs at the moment to be able to do it in a day. So might try and get that done this year before the year's out. Mum's got the long distance walking stuff that we want to do over a series of weekends. The Two Moors Way down in Devon. So get that done. Yeah, just I haven't really got any concrete thoughts about concrete or gravel or mountain bike thoughts about what to do next.
Very good, very good.
I might do Dole to Grindelwald when I'm out in Grindelwald next time, just to finish off those last 2 days that I missed.
Am I allowed to join you on that one?
Yeah.
Maybe I join you from Toon or something.
Oh, I thought you meant from Dole.
I don't know. I mean, maybe from Dole. It for me, it depends on when I'm allowed to start training and what I'm allowed to do, and
Yep.
yeah, um, given my setback from yesterday,
Yeah, at least said as
because
soon as
that's going to be a pain to ride a bike with. um, what do you think of the podcast? Do you think we'll keep it going?
Sorry?
Do you think we're going to keep this podcast going?
How many people will listen to them? I don't know.
No idea.
If you want to keep it going, I'm happy to keep it going. But we need I think it needs a theme. It needs something that we're you
Yeah.
know doing rather than just. I don't think anybody's interested in just two random people
Miserable
two random people rambling away about something that nobody else is really interested in. There's enough self-publication of nonsense on the internet. I don't feel the need to contribute to it.
Yeah, that's fair enough. So
That said, I've enjoyed doing them. Will.
Oh, it's been good fun. I'll give you that. We said it took you 9 days.
Mm-hmm.
If you go back through each day.
Yeah.
So, first day was Dover to Waterdash.
Yeah.
Favorite moment from that day?
Seeing Paul Oppenheimer. So the ride changed near Gravesend, where I got somebody clattered into me on a bike path on another bike, and that changed things because that obviously spooked Mum a little bit and reinforced the fact that she then came along, which was great with hindsight, absolutely brilliant, because Mum took on finding for me hotel rooms. We'd look at the route for the next day, work out roughly where I was going to get to, start then looking for places to stay, and all of that cognitive load a lot of that cognitive load was taken away from me, which is great. It probably saved me an hour and a half a day doing that, and I could just let Mum get on with it, and I think she quite enjoyed doing it too. So that changed on day one. But yeah, day one best moment was, Paul and I worked together years ago. We talked about getting together for a ride, never materialized for all sorts of reasons. And then Paul said, "Oh, you're riding across London." Messaged me, said you're riding across London. Try and meet up. And then we met up. He was on Waterloo Bridge, and we cycled out to Uxbridge together. And it was great to have somebody to chat to. Nice to see him. Great to have somebody to ride with through central London, and because two cyclists obviously stick out in traffic more than one. Yeah, that was really good. And by that point, I can't say I loved from Sevenoaks or just after through that part of London. Sorry for anybody that comes from that part of London, but or Kent, Northern Kent. It's not the most attractive bit to ride through. The weather wasn't particularly great. It was windy, cross wind, stroke headwind, and I was getting tired. And it's thought I hadn't had breakfast because breakfast wasn't available, and I didn't stop to have breakfast, which was my, to a degree, stupidity. But yeah, it was. I hadn't loved that bit of the ride. It seemed to take a long time, and seeing Paul was really good. So I said it on Strava. I've said it on my LinkedIn post. I was really grateful for seeing him. It was good to see him.
Yeah, yeah. I'm happy that you had that sort of extra person getting you
Yeah,
through
gave me a morale
central
boost,
London.
and
Yeah.
and I wasn't then looking at my bike computer thinking how much longer have I got to do.
Mm. And then day 2,
Yeah,
Waters Ash to Ashby de la Zouch.
yeah.
Favorite moment?
Don't think I really had a favourite moment from that ride. I mean, I'll tell you what the worst moments were locally to here, which was the weather turned rubbish. It got cold. Um, I didn't put my rain jacket on early enough and got really quite cold and ended up stopping after 25, 26 miles in Leighton Buzzard and going into a Costa Coffee and having a couple of espressos and trying to warm up, thinking this is a bit miserable and I've got a long way to go. I still had 80 miles to go at that point, and I wasn't going particularly fast, and it was just horrible. But by the other side of Milton Keynes, the weather had brightened up a little bit. I went through past some places that I knew through work, which I don't want to talk about, and Northampton was nice. The countryside was nice around Northampton. It's rolling countryside. Surprising amount of elevation gain on the second day for somewhere with really, no. Okay, it had some hills through the Chilterns to get out across the Chilterns, but after that, no really significant hills. And then getting to, so no one particular moment stands out on day 2.
Yeah. And then the standout moment, Ashby de la Zouch to Clitheroe, day 3.
It's really nice seeing your cousin Nick and riding along with him, asking about his, PhD and not understanding a huge amount of what he's doing, but it's very impressive. And he's a good bike rider. He's fit lad because of all of his triathlon. It was just nice. I mean, I didn't we didn't really do any drafting or stuff like that because I wasn't going fast enough and there were lots of hills. But it's nice to ride with him. But then the weather, you've seen the video that he did. The weather was pretty horrible. I learnt my lesson that I should have learnt from the first day. I didn't put my rain jacket on early enough. Got pretty cold. I hadn't worked out how to lock my Garmin screen, so the Garmin was playing up. I went wrong once or twice because I didn't see the route, and it was just a bit miserable. Getting to Macclesfield was good. Seeing Mum had bought me some soup and a panini and was waiting for me, so having some decent food. Then riding across Manchester was just a bit of the weather was much better, but it was a bit of a chore. And then riding out of Manchester, there's some big hills, and that took a while. I was beginning to get tired, and the wind really was getting me down at that point. Yeah. So riding with Nick was a highlight on day 2, and then getting to the getting to the day 3, sorry, and getting to the accommodation was
Yeah.
a relief.
And then day 4 was Clitheroe to Penrith.
Yeah, that was through the Trough of Bowland. That beautiful scenery, but as I said previously, brutally hard hills and a headwind, which was just a nuisance.
That was a standout moment for you, the brutally hard hills and headwind.
No, the scenery really all through that ride was just lovely.
Mm,
But I think I said previously that you don't get beautiful scenery, i.e., hills, on a bike without some cost.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And then so day 5 was Penrith to Boghall, which is just south of Edinburgh.
Bathgate,
Okay, I got
Bathgate, just
Boghall
south of
from
Edinburgh.
Strava, so
Yeah, so obviously the Welcome to Scotland bit was amusing because I took that photo by the Welcome to and a video by the Welcome to Scotland sign with a big. I mean, I've been riding through some rain, but not a lot of rain, and a big black cloud behind me as I went, in front of me going into Scotland, behind me as I took the video. And literally 3-4 minutes after taking that video, the heavens absolutely opened. The winds got really, I mean, it's a real squall that came through, hail. I mean, like hail, so it hurt. Nowhere to shelter. So it's just like, oh, God, might as well. I'm going to get cold, so I might as well, if I stop, so I might as well keep riding and just get through it. And it only lasted 5-10 minutes, but it was that really was a welcome to Scotland Glasgow kiss that I got. Um, but then I stopped at a place called Johnston Bridge, I think it was called. And Mum's got a better story about this than me, but that's where we agreed to meet for lunch. And mm, I got to it and stopped and saw where Mum was. So I headed off the road to find off the main road to find Mum, and she found this community centre. Um, and the lady that ran the community centre was just lovely. There was a Honesty coffee machine. She showed Mum a little walk that Mum could do while she was waiting for me to turn up. She left the community centre open while she had to go off and do something, so that if I turned up, um, we could get in. I mean, it's just really, Helen, her name was. It was just, really thoughtful, really nice. But that day, I was riding on roads or bike paths that were parallel to the main road. I forgot what road it is. I think it's the A73 or something. And the main road was always there most of the ride, just, not that far away. And there's a lot of road noise. It wasn't the most. I mean, the scenery getting further north was lovely, but it just, there was a lot of road noise.
yeah. And then day 6,
Was across to Pitlochry.
Pitlochry. Yeah,
Crossing the Ford Road Bridge is always a nice moment. It's a big old thing, and the old railway bridge is spectacular. The architecture of that is spectacular. The new bridge is impressive, but you're right. The bike road is on the old bridge, which is almost not used now. There are buses that go across it, but I don't think you can drive over it anymore. So that was a highlight. But then the next bit was the next highlight on that day was um, after the lunch stop. I was on an A road that was pretty quiet, and the scenery was lovely. I mean, I talk about scenery quite a lot, and I have to stop using the word stunning because I realise in most of my videos I say this is stunning. But it was lovely, really nice, quiet road. I mean, it took me up a hill and had a big descent down into Pitlochry, but it was really pretty. That was really nice.
yeah. And then so that was day 6. Day 7 was to
Pitlochry to Strathpeffer, just north of Inverness. Um, obviously, not obviously, they built this bike path, so you're not actually on the A9. Um, it's there was less traffic, so it wasn't. I didn't have the noise of the A9 all the time. It's a nice bike path over the Dramocta summit, which is, I think, the highest main road in the UK or something. I think it says 457 meters on elevation, so not, anybody in Denver. It's not high, but it's a decent old road up there. And then after the lunch stop, I caught up with a couple, Kevin and Heather. He had a load of bags on his bike, and that's a route that everybody doing Land's End John O'Groats are on as well. So I caught them up, and had a quick chat with them. A really nice couple. She turned out Kevin came from Strathpeffer, which is where we were staying that night, which all seemed like a peculiarly small world. He was doing Land's End John O'Groats with three other friends from Strathpeffer. They'd ridden off, and Heather, his wife, had come to Pitlochry to ride from Pitlochry to Strathpeffer with him, and we just gelled. It's just really nice conversation for, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes of road with them. I was going a bit faster, so I said, lovely to meet you. See you later. And Mum had, unbeknownst to me, Mum had come off the A9 and had actually got onto where the bike path was on an old road at that point, and she was waiting for me along there just to say hi and take a video. And so I saw her and was going to ride past. I thought, no, so I stopped and said hello to Mum and said I just met this lovely couple, who then caught me up again. And then I proceeded to ride again for another 20 minutes or so with Kevin and Heather, and we went over the Schlod summit together, and she took a picture. I looked particularly gormless in. And they were just a really nice couple, and it's like, yeah, that was a highlight, meeting Kevin and Heather that day. The scenery was good, but meeting some fellow cyclists and having a chat, and just that serendipity of them coming from the place that we were stopping in that night, which is not a big place.
And then day 8, Strathpeffer to Durness.
This is definitely hindsight, Will. That long 30-mile valley road is spectacular. I was cursing about it riding into it. I had rain at the beginning of the ride, rain at the beginning of that valley road. I had the Garmin telling me, the countdown to the right turn, which seems to take forever, 31 miles, I think it started at. But now looking back, the scenery was just, it's stunning. Say that word again. It was spectacular. And it is remote. So there's nothing up there, not even sheep, just a few houses.
Who did you sing to then?
I didn't sing to anybody. I had nobody to say hello to. I was battling into this headwind. I had a tyre that was going down slightly, which I was worried about. But it was, the weather brightened up as I went up. I mean, still the wind was blowing, but the weather brightened up. I wasn't in rain. For 90% of that bit up there, actually, I wasn't riding in rain. It brightened up, and so I took a video at one point, which I think I've sent to you. It was just lovely.
And then the final day, Durness, Cape Wrath, and back to the ferry. I guess the standout moment is getting to the lighthouse, no?
Yeah, probably. Yes, yeah. I mean, the standout moment, getting to the lighthouse was a moment. Obviously spoiled a little bit by the fact that I was concerned about getting back again. I mean, I could walk 11 miles if I needed to, but that wasn't the plan. So actually getting off the ferry, seeing Mum, and realising that it was done.
Yeah.
That's probably really the standout moment. That's when I could relax and think.
Yeah. We're sort of getting to the end of the pod now.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll do one final quick fire round that's going to focus on the ride. Are you ready?
Yeah, you're a bit faint. I don't know if it's my audio
okay.
or your audio.
It might be me. It's probably me. Are you ready for one final quickfire round?
Yes.
One word for the whole experience.
Cool.
Hardest day?
That day through the Trough of Bowland.
Best day?
The Pitlochry day, I think, from Pitlochry over to north of Inverness.
The biggest surprise?
How hard the Trough of Bowland was.
What's your most overused phrase on this ride?
Stunning.
Best food of the ride?
Ooh. Breakfast on the final day in Durness. We were staying in an Airbnb, and I think her name was Alexandra, and Kenny. Kenny was in the kitchen, and the breakfast he cooked, I think I'm still digesting. It was awesome.
What was the most useful thing on the trip? Mum, the bike, or coffee?
I couldn't do the. Sorry, Amanda. I couldn't do the trip without the bike.
Something you won't miss.
Nothing really, to be honest.
Scotland?
No, Scotland's stunning. It was beautiful.
What do you miss already?
The routine of just getting up and pedaling.
And would you do it again, yes or no?
Oh, completely.
All right. I think that's going to bring this pod to an end.
Okay. Thanks, Will. If you're going to include something, I'd just like to say thank you to everybody that sponsored me. It means an awful lot. I would have done the ride regardless, but obviously doing it in memory of Grandma Sue and Erica was important, and raising money for Alzheimer's research became an important part of the experience. So thank you to everybody who sponsored me. Thank you to your mum, because it was, in hindsight, it was much better to do the ride and have somebody there every evening. Mum, on day 3 was the first day Mum met me roughly halfway along, and we had 20 minutes, half an hour while I ate some lunch, and that was really cool. That was nice. And she took the cognitive load off, as I say, finding accommodation, which was, with hindsight, a big thing. Thanks to everybody that responded to my LinkedIn posts, because that was nice. Got some good feedback on the daily updates on LinkedIn. So, and thanks for forcing me to do these podcasts, Will.
Well, I'd never forced you to do it. That's the thing. It was.
Yeah, but I wouldn't have thought to do it. So thank you for doing it.
We sort of sat down at the start, and I was like, because when you did the ride to out to here, or to Dole, I was there, sort of thing. I was, with Mum, we're speaking to you every day, and I was like, well, now I'm already 700 miles away. What's the best way to sort of keep up with it? And when I was in the UK, it meant that we could film stuff together straight away. We did the old bike check for your bike, which I might get you when you come out in the summer. I might get you to bring all your gear, and we'll record one out here for it. That can sort of be the final video, but it meant that we could record stuff there and then.
Yeah.
And I was like, how can I keep that going for this ride without being there? And
yeah.
A podcast was the first thing that sort of came to my head. So thank you to agreeing to do it. But I think that is where we will leave it for today.
Yeah, it sounds a bit like an Oscar ceremony, isn't it?
It does now, doesn't it? It's a bit shitty. I think you should get the Oscar for actually doing the ride, so...
I only had to sit and pedal.
You had to pedal a bloody long way, though.
Mm.
Yeah. All right. Congratulations once again.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thanks, Will.
And we'll pick up this podcast at some point in the future. And make another series on something.
Yeah, well, I say I'm updating the Substack, so there'll be a journal if nobody's in. Part. I wouldn't say a travel log 'cause it's not really a travel log, but anyway, just something to
Yeah,
remember each day by.
yeah. And I'm updating my Substack as well about stuff out here in Grindelwald, and
If you can do the video, pull
yeah,
together
that will come out soon as well. So
that would be good. Thank you.
yeah.
All right.
All right.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. See you soon.
Ciao.